You hate it. Not in a "I know I probably shouldn't" kind of way. You hate it deeply, genuinely. You've cried over it. You've journaled about it. You've made promises at 2 a.m. with tears on your pillow. And yet, here you are again. So here's the question that's actually keeping you up at night. The one you're afraid to say out loud. What if I'm broken in a way that even God can't fix? That's the real fear. Not just that you sinned, but that you sinned again and you don't know why and you don't know how to stop. Let's actually talk about that. Here's where most people go wrong. They treat repeated sin like it's a willpower problem. So they try harder, pray more, set up accountability, download the app, make the covenant, and it works for a little while, and then it doesn't. And when it doesn't, they draw a terrifying conclusion. I must not really want to change. But that's a misdiagnosis. Think about someone who's physically ill. They don't lack the desire to be healthy, they lack something else. A doctor doesn't tell a sick person to want it more. They look deeper. Your struggle isn't evidence that you don't want freedom. Your struggle might be evidence that the root has never actually been addressed. Proverbs 4:23 says, "Above all else, guard your heart, for everything you do flows from it." Everything flows from the heart. Not from your discipline, not from your rules, from your heart. So the question isn't, why can't I stop? The real question is, what does my heart still believe that keeps pulling me back? Here's something nobody says in church. Sin is never random. Sin is always offering you something. Maybe it's comfort when you feel overwhelmed. Maybe it's control when life feels chaotic. Maybe it's connection when you feel lonely. Maybe it's escape when reality feels unbearable. Every repeated sin is answering a real need just with a counterfeit. Augustine wrote it like this: "Our heart is restless until it rests in thee." You were made with a God-shaped need, and when that need isn't being met the right way, you will fill it some other way, every single time. This is why white-knuckling doesn't work long-term. You can suppress the behavior, but if the underlying need is still there, starving, screaming, eventually it wins. Jesus understood this. In John 4, he doesn't tell the woman at the well to stop going to the well. He offers her better water, living water, water that actually satisfies. He didn't shame her need, he met it properly. So ask yourself honestly, what is this sin giving me that I don't know how to get any other way? That's not an excuse, that's a map to the actual problem. Now, some of you just heard that and your brain went somewhere dangerous. So my sin is understandable, I can explain it, I'm off the hook. No, understanding why you sin doesn't make it okay, it makes it treatable. There's a difference between a doctor who understands why you're sick and a doctor who says being sick is fine. Paul confronts this directly in Romans 6:1. Shall we go on sinning so that grace may increase? By no means. Grace is not a license. Grace is a lifeline. Here's the distinction that changes everything. Grace doesn't lower the standard. Grace gives you the power to actually meet it. Without grace, the law just shows you how far you fall. With grace, you're given something you didn't have before. The Spirit of God inside you, pulling you toward who you were made to be. The problem isn't that you need to try harder. The problem is you're still trying in your own strength, and your own strength was never enough. That's not weakness, that's by design. You were never meant to do this alone. Let's talk about shame for a second, because shame is keeping a lot of you stuck. Shame says, stay away from God until you're better. But here's what's actually true. You don't get better and then come to God. You come to God broken and He makes you better. Hiding from God after you sin is like getting cut and hiding from the doctor. The logic sounds humble. It's actually self-defeating. Psalm 51, David's prayer after one of the worst moral failures in the Bible, doesn't start with a plan. It doesn't start with a program. It starts with, "Have mercy on me, O God." He ran toward God in his mess, not after cleaning it up. And here's what shame doesn't want you to know. The very fact that you feel grief over your sin is evidence that something holy is alive in you. People who are spiritually numb don't grieve their sin. They just keep going. Your grief, that's not failure. That's the Spirit refusing to let you go. So what do you actually do? First, stop fighting the symptom and start treating the root. Ask God to show you what the sin is actually offering you. Then ask Him to meet that need legitimately. Second, stop isolating. Sin grows in secrecy. James 5:16 isn't a suggestion. Confess your sins to one another and pray for each other so that you may be healed. Community isn't optional. It's the environment healing happens in. Third, replace the narrative. Repeated sin is often tied to a lie you believe about yourself, about God, or about life. Find the lie. Replace it with what's actually true, not just as an idea. Speak it, write it, meditate on it until it becomes the reflex. And finally, be patient with the process. Sanctification is not a switch, it's a direction. You're not looking for the moment you become perfect, you're looking for the pattern. Over time, are you more free than you were before? Even limping in the right direction is still movement. Let me leave you with this. The fact that you're still asking, how do I change? That question itself is evidence that something is still alive in you. People who have completely surrendered to a sin don't ask how to stop. They just stop fighting. You're still fighting. That matters. You're not too far gone. You're not a lost cause. You're not someone God has given up on. You are someone in process. And the God who started a good work in you is faithful to complete it. That's not a motivational line. That's Philippians 1:6. That's a promise. So tonight, don't run from God. Run to Him. With the dirt still on your hands. He's not waiting for you to clean up. He's waiting for you to come home. If this helped you think differently about where you're stuck, share it with someone who needs it. And if you're in a season of real struggle, drop a comment below. You're not the only one.